I'm a big guy. For non-Americans, think of the size of rugby players. Not to mention my poor knees are crap, and I have a bad lower back. Then factor in that I travel by plane often for work. My job reimburses for flights, but they only pay for a basic seat. Any upgrades come out of pocket. Thankfully, I make a decent enough living that most of the time I spring for an upgrade to economy comfort or even business class. If I have enough points or the flight is cheap enough, I spring for first class, but only if it's a longer haul flight. If it's a regional flight, I just suck it up, save the cash, and sit in economy. My in-laws invited me and my girlfriend, Diana, on a trip. We paid our own way, FYI. The trip would be 7 hours, so I told my girlfriends and my in-laws that I paid for an upgrade to business class, and they were cool with it. But in reality, I had something else cooking. Diana has never flown first class, and as a special surprise for her, I upgraded our seats to first class and would tell her at the airport. So for all the reasons I listed above, and for Diana, I got us upgraded to first. I was so excited to see her reaction, I could barely hold it in. When we got to the airport and the first class passengers were called, I looked at my girlfriend and told her, "Let's go." She said they hadn't called our cabin yet, and I told her to look closer at her boarding pass, and she looked and was stunned. Father-in-law just laughs and shakes his head. Mother-in-law is stunned, but doesn't look happy. Long story short, we had a ball in first class. She loved it and thanked me repeatedly. She only said to tell her in advance next time so that she can dress more bougie. We get off the plane, and mother-in-law is angry at me. She said, "How could you leave father-in-law and her to ride in coach while we live it up in first?" To be fair, father-in-law really didn't care, and he said he slept the whole way. He then told mother-in-law that he'd have left us too if he had the money. Mother-in-law said we should all go first together, or not at all, that it isn't really fair or a good look to have two parties be in different classes like that. I said we were originally in business, and she said there's a world of difference between business and first class. She said I could have at least sprung for economy comfort or business class for everyone rather than be selfish. I talked with Diana afterward, and she said that while she enjoyed the surprise, she said that maybe I should have saved it for a private trip for the two of us rather than with her parents. I still don't think it's a big deal, but I've been wrong in the past. So am I the idiot for buying first class tickets and leaving my in-laws to rot in coach? Not the idiot. Mother-in-law sounds a bit entitled. She was sitting with her husband. She wasn't left to rot. If she wanted first class, she could have sprung for her own ticket. I've been on a flight where my parents were upgraded to first class, and we teen kids were left in the cheap seats. We didn't whine about it. You left me to rot? I love the emotionally charged language that people fall back on when they have no real arguments. You know they're clutching at straws when this crap gets thrown out. Your mother-in-law sounds bitter and entitled. Also, it's weird that she claims it isn't a good look to have separate classes. What? If everyone was already paying their own way, I'm really not sure of the problem. I'm tall for a girl, 5'9", and I don't want to sit in economy. My legs are insanely long, and I'm just not doing it. I don't blame you for sitting elsewhere. You are the idiot. We're having a ball in first class? That's like going on a family vacation, but you stay in a 5-star hotel while your parents stay in Motel 6. Or ordering a steak for yourself while getting cup noodles for the in-laws. Your girlfriend is right that this would be more appropriate to do if it was just the trip for the two of you, instead of with the in-laws. Now your girlfriend can't even gush about the fun experience without reminding her parents that they were purposely left out. They invited you to spend time with them. This was a group trip, and then you secretly organized something to separate the group. I, a teen female, have had a bad year. My mom died in February, and nothing has gone well since then. She and my bio father were never married, and he wasn't around while I was growing up. I vaguely remember that he visited once when I was really little, but otherwise he hasn't been around. He says it was because he wasn't ready to be a dad, so it was better that he sent my mom child support and stayed away. Whatever. My mom doesn't have a lot of family, so when she died, my bio father was the one who was asked to take me, and he agreed. I wasn't a fan of the idea, but no one really cares what I think, and it's better than being in a group home I was at while they figured everything out. He's been okay and mostly lets me do my thing. His wife, Cheryl, treats me like I came from juvie and bothers me about everything, from my clothes to the way I do laundry to telling me not to get in trouble, like I can't just go to school without doing something shady. They have 2 sons, a young grammar schooler and an older toddler. The older one mimics her riding my butt. I told my bio father, and he said he'd talk to her, but now she does it when he's not around. Her family visited this weekend, and her mom asked how I was settling in at school. Cheryl commented that I was staying out of trouble. I was nearby, and it just hit her nerve, so I said, "Why do you think I would get in trouble?" She looked embarrassed and said she knew I came from a rougher area and might not know how things worked here. I asked her what she meant by rougher area, and she said it was more urban. Her mom was embarrassed for her and said she was sure I'd always been well behaved. I asked Cheryl why she thought living in the city meant I would get into trouble. My bio father walked up then, and the subject changed. But later Cheryl was mad because I embarrassed her in front of her mom and implied things. I think her mother must have said something. Bio father asked me about what had happened, and now they're mad at each other, but he says I should have talked to him instead of picking a fight. Edit. I have a feeling the quiet part is that I'm brown. My mom was full Blackfoot, and bio father and his family, and like 99% of the people here, are white. I look a lot like my mom when she was my age. Beautiful. You are not the idiot, but you uncovered her bias in such a clever way that she outed herself as the idiot in front of everyone. You just kept feeding her rope as she professionally hung herself. LOL. Excellent job. I still can't get over what an idiot the dad is too. Like, yeah, stepmom is a big idiot, but dad wasn't ready to be a parent, but has been ready for 6 years with stepmom and made 2 kids. He only just now entered OP's life because he had to. Her mom died 7 months ago. All OP had for all her life was her mom. I hope your father gets better at having your back here, and I hope your stepmother starts treating you better. I have a feeling the quiet part is that I'm brown. This is precisely what I was looking for in your edit before I commented, because of everything your father's wife has been saying. Are bog standard bigoted dog whistles, phrases that don't sound much on their own, but are pitched for who they want picking up on it. Good on you for calmly, maturely, and intelligently getting her to step in her own crap. And of course, I'm so sorry you're having to go through all this. It'll get better in time, especially when you can get distance from your bio dad's toxic wife. My 28 male, girlfriend 25, is low contact with her parents and older sister. She has a difficult relationship with them. She felt bullied by her sister Cora, 31, growing up. Her mother was frequently ill and depressed, and her father traveled for work for months at a time. They were kind of poor, so Cora did multiple jobs since her teens and was controlling and domineering with her siblings about chores and schoolwork. My girlfriend has a lot of resentment about her unpleasant childhood and is pushed back by sabotaging things for Cora in silly and petty ways. Cora got married to her boyfriend of 3 years about 6 months ago. My girlfriend flew over to attend, but did act bratty to mess with Cora. It was mostly minor stuff, like not confirming travel plans till the last minute, so Cora was forced to pay more for plane tickets, changing her mind about her dress frequently, so Cora had to buy and return outfits multiple times. There were a few other things too, like messing with some organized plans and refusing to do things she committed to. I don't really like it or understand it, but she feels it's important for such payback to bring a balance to her relationship with her sister. Where I feel she went too far is that the night before the wedding, she had a long talk with the groom about how difficult and short-tempered Cora can be. He has a kid, male young grammar school aged, from his previous marriage, and she knew they were planning on having more kids right away after they got married. So she told him that Cora hates little children and will bully them. The newlyweds ended up having a lot of fights over their honeymoon because the groom wanted to postpone having kids and change how much involvement Cora would have with her stepkid. Cora found out recently that the conflicts are because of her sister, who had a talk with her husband, and she's been blowing up at my girlfriend. She feels upset at my girlfriend's interference because she wanted to have kids soon, and my girlfriend feels justified because she's convinced Cora would be an awful mother. I told her that it wasn't right for her to meddle in her sister's marriage just to mess with her, but she felt that nothing she said was untrue, so she was morally right to do so. We've been having arguments about this, and my girlfriend is now mad at me. Not the idiot. Based on this and your girlfriend being mad, you better run. You say girlfriend is mad because growing up, their mother was ill and depressed, and the father wasn't around due to work, leaving them in a poor condition and requiring Cora as a teen to have to work multiple jobs helping with the home, and got on your girlfriend about chores and schoolwork. So by being forced to parent her siblings as a teen and being tough about homework and chores, girlfriend feels justified in sabotaging her sister? It sounds more ungrateful than anything. Dude, you need to run. These kinds of games at that age are such a red flag. What happens when she feels morally justified to get back at you? Does she feel slighted by her mother or other close family? Any future children you might want? This is cruelty and pettiness on a narcissistic level, and she needs help. Agreed. Your girlfriend is not a good person. I'd be afraid of what your girlfriend plans for you. She deliberately tried to wreck her sister's life at her wedding, no less. I'm surprised the groom even took her remarks seriously, because someone who would behave that way and say those things at a sibling's wedding is clearly unhinged. Quit making excuses for this woman. You say you haven't even known her for a year, so your investment here is still relatively low. I admit that this doesn't put her in the best light, but she is generally smart and sweet. She can hold a grudge, though. I'm trying to understand and help her, because childhood abuse can mess people up. She's nice in other areas of her life. It's just with her sister, she goes a bit off. I don't think she sees it as wrecking her sister's life. She said that the brother-in-law comes across as a very sweet guy, and she felt obliged to warn him of what he'll be facing. She does admire her sister, who's become quite successful. Oh, come on. You cannot be this naive. After messing with her sister, via traveling and dresses, you cannot fathom that what she said to brother-in-law was done out of anything other than altruistic concern. If it was the only thing she did, there'd be plausible deniability, but with all the rest of it, no way. Your girlfriend is jealous of her sister's success and wedding and says brother-in-law is a very sweet guy? Do you really want to be a part of this? You need to wake up. My 33 female, older brother 40, has 3 preschool-age kids. I myself have no children by choice. We never were very close, but he always asked for help with the kids. Saturday was a beautiful day. My husband and I had plans to spend the day in our pool. At 10 a.m., he calls me and asks me to come over and help with the kids for an hour or two because his wife is going to get her nails done. I declined and told him what my plans were. He has a fit, saying that I could come to help him and then go home and still spend all day in the pool, which is true. He only lives about 15 minutes from me, but honestly, I just didn't want to have to spend the morning with his kids and wasn't really in the mood to babysit. So I again said no, hung up, and had a nice day with my husband. Later that day, I got a nasty text from sister-in-law about not helping out. She was angry she had to cancel her nail appointment. She pretty much called me an immature idiot for not helping. My mom thinks I could have just gone over there for an hour or two, since it really wouldn't have messed with my plans, and I had no real reason not to. Now I feel like an idiot. Edit. He's never been alone with them. My mom or his mother-in-law are always there. Sister-in-law really doesn't do much either. It's mostly my mom and his mother-in-law that take care of them. Did I read this correctly? A 40-year-old parent can't keep his own kids alive for a few hours, and a third party is somehow to blame? Daddy-o can't parent his children for a few hours to give his wife a little me time, so it's OP's fault? Not the idiot. Tell me how much this man dislikes his kids without pointing to his failure to have a good relationship with his younger sister. I couldn't believe the sister-in-law canceled her appointment. What the heck? I read this not realizing that the outcome could be that it's unreasonable that the guy can't parent his kids for a couple of hours alone. Can it be that he's managed to father 3 kids under 5 and done no solo parenting? What a terrible partner. Wow, just wow. So your sister-in-law needed a babysitter for your brother. Just tell them your rates. If you can't handle 3 kids, then don't have 3 kids. That's just pathetic. Honestly, I'd text your brother, sister-in-law, and mother and tell them that there was no reason that brother couldn't have been with his own children for an hour and that sister-in-law shouldn't have had to cancel her appointment. I would also state that because the brother refuses to be an active parent to his own children, you will not watch the children, so don't even ask. You have to love the entitlement of asking you to drop everything without notice on the assumption that sister-in-law could go and have some self-care time at your expense. Next time, don't tell him what your plans are. Go full on Phoebe and say, I wish I could help, but I don't want to. Oh, and you should get him a $2 sympathy card and just write, Welcome to Parenthood in it. I, female 26, have been in a relationship with a guy, 26, for 3 years. Initially, it was a long-distance relationship, and lately, the same city but living separately. We've always dreamed about moving in together. The issue is, he's never actively done chores in his life. When he lived with his parents, his stay-at-home mom did all the cooking, dishwashing, and laundry. The most he did was occasionally clean when asked to. He learns to be an adult. He says it's not fair, that I can easily teach him. That's what couples do. I disagree. He had 3 years, 2 of which were spent at his parents' home. Ample time. I told him I didn't want to live with the kid that I must teach. So let me know when you're an adult. He's calling me the idiot for that. Not the idiot. The day I left my ex, 3 months after moving in, and over 5 years after being together, suitcase in hand and tears down my face, all he had to say to me was, How do I do the laundry? Take that as you will. In these 3 years, he plans how to use weaponized incompetence to leave all the chores to you. Unfortunately, I doubt he would change if he was raised in a house where his mom cared for everything. He wants a new mommy. He wants you to be his new mommy. And you'll be his new mommy if you let him move in with you. Tell Oedipus to call you when he's finished growing up. Expect that phone call the week after never. And don't get pregnant. You'll have to teach me to cook. Will turn into 1 or 2 half-hearted attempts at learning followed by LOL. Well, I tried, and I can't do it. You'll have to do it, since you're the one who knows how. Nothing will make you lose attraction and build resentment like having to mother your SO. And how utterly refreshing to hear from someone who demands her boyfriend behave like an adult before committing to live with them. Stand your eminently reasonable ground.